Is this thing on? Is it operating as it should? Try to get some lights working over here. Hang on. I think we're live. I think we're working. I think I need to figure out how to work some. Oh, damn. Yeah, that ain't gonna work. Jeez Louise, what the hell's going on there? All right. Anyway, enough of all that. What's happening, everybody? So, talking about Ram stuff, and if you guys haven't seen it, recently posted a video of a ride along, a little draggy ride along with a 2022 Ram 1500 two-wheel drive with 321 gears. One of the things that I was really working on the tune of that truck, and actually I would have liked to have gotten some hits after I got done actually tuning that thing. But the main thing is I put together the pass in that video is on 89 octane, and the subsequent or the evolved tune of that thing ended up on it as a 93 octane tune. The 93 octane tune for that truck is freaking awesome. Although, just like with all of the Rams and really the 5.7s in general, it's got a lot of noise with the knock sensors. So I don't know what's up with that with these Rams. I swear it's one of these funny Mopar ticks, no pun intended, right? But it's one of those funny Mopar quirks where you always end up with some kind of noise through the knock sensors. Even if you make the knock sensors practically inoperable, you'll still see some weird stuff. But anyway, getting back to it, that truck is running really well. So that 1394 was run in 70-degree heat. I know that the thing on the draggy says one thing, but it's actually 70-degree heat. And it was muggy, sticky, like outside. And so anyway, the truck did really well, though. Again, it was more of a trick to get the truck off the line. But again, wrapped up the 93 octane tune for that truck. I don't know what it'll run, but it's kind of irrelevant because she's going to be going to get re-geared this Friday. So we're going to be going from a 321 gear set, and we're going to step that up to a 355 rear gear. And it's one of those things where, guys, just such a weird thing. I don't understand why the 355 rear gear set is not an option for the DT Ram, or why it's not the standard gear for the DS Ram. It would just kind of make sense given the gearing and tire and wheel height. It would just make more sense to have that 355 gear. But beside the point, the reality is that with the 5.7 trucks, one of the real annoying things about the 321 gear, for all that it's good at, it's actually got some downside to it. And so this is what I'm looking to cure by throwing the 355s in the truck. The first thing that I'm looking to cure is the third gear partial throttle roll-on acceleration. And you want to talk about getting nitpicky, but here's the deal with the HP 75 transmission. First and second gear are more aggressive in the HP 75 than they are in the HP 70. And they get a little bit more aggressive in third gear. The point is there's a bigger gap between second and third gear. And it makes the truck, if you're kind of going through an intersection and then turning and getting onto the highway under partial throttle, it'll go first gear, second gear, third gear. And then this third gear is just, it falls into this odd doldrum. So really the 355 gears are going to help to bridge the gap under a lot of these goofy little partial throttle areas where the 321 just has an odd feeling of just being a little bit sluggish down there. And so the other side to it is, and this is something that's kind of weird, but with the 321 gear and the HP 75 transmission, seventh and eighth gear are more of an overdrive. in the HP 75 than they are then in the HP 70. And so RPM is significantly, well, I say significantly, it is marketably lower going down the highway. Well, that's great if you're trying to beat like an emissions test or something like that, where you're not necessarily replicating wind resistance or load or tire drag or anything like that. But I can tell you guys from experience that the DT Ram with the stock tune didn't really get all that great fuel economy on the highway. It always felt like I was overloading the thing to run at speeds between, say, 65 and 75 miles an hour. The truck just always felt a little bit luggish. But if I spun the thing up to about 85 miles an hour, 90 miles an hour, it felt like it was more in its comfort zone. Well, if I can basically get some of that back with the 355, some of that, actual fuel economy, then it should be in good shape. One fun thing to note, by the way, is that with my 93 octane tune, because I'm now capable to throw more timing at it, like a significant amount more timing. It would blow your mind if I told you how much more timing I was throwing at this truck under certain conditions. But because it's actually thrown more timing at it, it looks a lot more like a DS Ram cruising down the highway. And it's actually getting about 5 miles per gallon better on the highway. So go figure. So anyway, let me check in with you guys real quick. Joe's in. What's up, Joe? Ryan's in saying, what's up, Professor? What's up, Ryan? Speed Maniac is in. Oh, what's up, man? Ryan's asking, I have a question about a Ram 5.7 2019. Would a Joker cam and a Torque Storm supercharger be a hoss of a truck engine, or would the Sniper grind be better, or your thoughts? There are better, it depends on what you're doing with it. If you're going to do a Torque Storm, I would probably look at one of Mo's Performance, one of his smaller cams. He's got some cams that have a tighter lobe separation angle that are a little bit less duration, but a tighter lobe separation angle really helps these trucks pick up mid-range. Not that the Joker wouldn't, but that cam combined with a centrifugal supercharger would be a lot of fun. Joker would be great too, but Joker is going to favor top end a little bit more than some of Mo's. At least one that I'm thinking of, smaller grinds. So I'd probably go that route just because, go with the converter as well. It just depends on how much of an affinity you have for something that's rowdy. And be honest with yourself now, because over time that rowdiness can get a little bit old. So just something to consider. Plus, it's a truck; it's heavy. So, hang the thing on the supercharger and let the cam do cam things. Tighten up the LSA so you pick up that mid range. That's what I would do if it were mine. Speed Maniac 93 Suburban. Love the old Suburbans. That's I'm just doing ring and pinion, replacing the third member. Just ring and pinion. That's all it needs. Christopher is saying, I was thinking about going to 392 in my 16, but would be interested on the 355. Here's the funny thing about the DS trucks. The DS truck, if you've got the 20-inch wheel and tire combination, that is the tallest wheel and tire combination in the fleet. And so 392s, because of the tire and wheel size and the gear ratios for the DS Ram, you might be surprised. They're going to be basically like me putting 355s in my DT. In fact, I used to joke, the only gear that I would have ever put in a DS would have been a 392. Like, it's the only way to fly. Again, especially if you've got the 20-inch wheel and tire combinations. Ryan said, I'm looking more of a torquey truck to do truck things. Don't go with the Joker cam. Again, go with something like a smaller cam, but with a tighter LSA will get it done. Speed Maniac saying 275, 55, 20 is almost 33 inches tall. Correct. Yeah. For a 16, for a DS, I would absolutely stick with a 392 gear. 100%. Fact, I have this spreadsheet that I put together over the years. It's just kind of evolved, that I got, I'm kind of you might have picked up on, I'm kind of a data guy, but not that I'm really any good with it, but I can put together a spreadsheet. And so I've got a spreadsheet that I put together that, I mean, you type in gear ratios, I can tell you what peak horsepower, or I'm sorry, peak speed is at peak horsepower, peak speed at torque at axle. I've got a comparison of what is it like to have 392s versus 355s in terms of actual gear multiplication, all of that stuff. I mean, it is one of these, it just keeps going on and on and on. It's this long, big Excel spreadsheet that I put together that allow me to, be able to sort through all the data. Christopher saying, I do have the 20-inch wheels and it's a regular cab. Oh, really? RCSB, nice. I missed the 390 gears, my old RT Ram. Go with those. Yeah, for sure. If I had an RCSB, I'd absolutely have 392s in if you're rocking the 20s for sure. Fun truck, by the way. Those are fun trucks. But it's just one of those things with the DT, man. It's kind of a weird thing, and there's so many differences between the DT and the DS. But I will say this: my DT Ram with the tune that I literally just finished it up. Yesterday, was it Saturday? I finished it up on Saturday, and it was just it's basically my 89 octane tune, but just more partial throttle is really all it is. Nothing was done to wide open throttle, by the way, guys. It's that tune that I put together is really more to wake it up under, say, from idle to 3/4 throttle. Everything that's in there that you would actually be using the truck for under high load conditions, high load, low speed spark knock is what I was fighting in that. So the idea with that tune is when I was putting it together was to just make the truck more lively in general and to help it launch, which you go through a lot of partial throttle when you're launching the truck. Obviously, you just don't go watt with it, right? So you're transitioning as you're transitioning from partial throttle into wide open throttle. That's really where I was focusing on that tune. And man, it is really good. And right now, actually, it's running on a mix of 89 and 93. It's half and half right now. And it's really good. And once, I put full 93 in it, I'll actually be able to get more clear data. But right now the data looks good. It doesn't have any more spark knock in it at partial throttle than the DS. I'll put it to you that way. Bruce saying, howdy brothers, how y'all doing? What's up, Bruce? Speed Maniac's asking, do you have to unlock your computer on the truck? Yes, 100%. In fact, I had to unlock it and had to incorporate the smart cable as well, the security bypass. So, yep, absolutely had to do that. Christopher was saying, I have to figure out my build because I scored a Ram 6.4 intake from work for free. Best intake you can put on a Hemi. Well, you can only put them on a truck because of the way that they're shaped and they're kind of a oddball thing. But the 6.4 truck intake is easily the best factory intake manifold for a Gen 3 by an order of magnitude. They're better. The throat itself is just significantly better than the 6.4 car manifold. If I could figure out a way to basically cut the snout off of those intake manifolds and route them and make my own snout for the front of those manifolds, it would be it'd be a big step forward in making those manifolds flow better. That's one of the reasons, guys, I quit porting manifolds. It was real hit and miss with the thickness of the plastic itself, like just how it was cast, the plastic itself. I mean, sometimes you get them kind of thick, some were thin, and I don't know. It was weird because I could put a hell of a lot of work into a manifold, like really get down to the nth degree with one of the car manifolds, or I could just do a real quick cleanup. And it was like, it really didn't matter one way or another. Except for when I would go absolutely nuts on a manifold and really hog out the throat area, and everything else I'd have to backfill it with epoxy. And anyway, long story short, yeah, it's that 6.4 truck manifold does away with a lot of those problems. Sweet man say, I still need to do a tune on my car, but the Camaro has been taking up some money right now. Well, I can understand that. Ryan's in saying 2019 Ram 5.7 with the Cooks headers and Torque Storm, trying to figure out cam and mufflers Diablo tuner. Should I do the 6.4 truck manifold also? It wouldn't hurt, but you don't really need it. You have a compressor that is filling that intake with boost. I really wouldn't worry so much about that for your application. That's really more of an NA thing. Again, not that it would hurt you, but for right now, I wouldn't really sweat it too much. You've got the Cooks on it. You've got the Torque Storm. You're just looking to sort out a cam. Man, the stock 5.7 cam doesn't suck as a blower cam. It's got a tighter LSA than the 6.4s do. So it kind of helps to build mid-range already. But if I were to put one together, it would be one of these, like a 218 for a blower. In other words, for one of the trucks. I don't know if y'all heard that. Somebody's heading out to Velocito. If I were putting one of these cams together for one of the trucks that I was going to run with a stock converter, probably like a 218, 228 style cam, with about 113 degree LSA would be pretty good for the stock converter, and just hang the thing on the compressor for the higher RPM needs of the truck. So it would be a fun cam that would still kind of do truck stuff. Really, if you wanted to make it a little bit more sedate, go like a 218, 228, but widen it out to like a 115. Actually, I'd probably go 220, 228 on a 115. That's roughly the same LSA as the stock cam. You're just getting a little bit more duration. You're going to lose boost. The only downside to that is that you end up losing some of the low speed drivability with that type of a cam. Not a lot. It's just like some partial throttle stuff that you might notice, but it would still pretty much work with the stock converter, although I would recommend a converter with this. And again, Mo's Performance can steer you in the right direction. He owns every record that there is for the Ram 1500s. So that's the direction I would look into for the converter. And again, the cams, it's just really anything more than stock is going to help. And it's just a measure of how much will you tolerate of a vehicle that is just rowdy in traffic? And again, like I always say, be honest with yourself, because a lot of times on the front end, you're like, yeah, this would be great. And then next thing you know, it's more of a hassle than it's worth. By the way, with Houston Raceway Park shutting down, we're getting a lot more traffic here in Velocito, depending on your dialect. But right now with Stormy, I'm not really doing anything. It still has the factory, manifolds, factory catalytic converters. It's got the S-type exhaust, which I love, by the way, that Borla S-type. And then it's got a 180 degree thermostat. And I've made the shutters stay open. That's it as far as modifications. Still rocking the stock air box, stock air filters. It's got a pre-filter, like this mesh thing, and then the actual filter itself. So nothing changed there. And the truck's running great. I'm having a lot of fun with it. And that's really more the point. And that's kind of really more why I'm kind of more gravitating towards the trucks and the 5.7 stuff now. Especially with the track shutting down, you can't really have a whole lot of fun with high horsepower stuff on the street. I can have all the fun I want with the truck. And it's one of those more fun things where I can focus on a little tiny little nuance as far as what I'm trying to accomplish with that thing. And it's kind of neat when you can make the thing actually run better. And it's just that pesky false knock is driving me nuts with it. But oh well, that's Mopar life. But I'm looking forward to that 355 swap. And really, again, it's oddly enough, I'm doing this more for partial throttle and for towing. Really, if I want to tow something, I think the 355s are going to be a better fit for the truck just in general. I don't know why they don't offer a set of 355s from the factory. From all the math that I've done, the 355 is actually, with the new HP 75, you kind of get the best of both worlds. You get all of the torque, I say all of, you get almost all of the torque multiplication down low as a DS Ram would have with 392 gears because of the more aggressive first and second gears specifically in the HP 75. So you get all the acceleration of a 3.92 gear down low, and you basically get the same cruise RPM at 80 miles an hour, for example, that you would see in a DS Ram with 321 gears. So to me, it's literally like you're getting both. It's strange, isn't it? Like when you look at the math and how it plays out, it's exactly 10% more aggressive than a 321, and a 392 is exactly 10% more aggressive than a 355. It falls just exactly in the middle. So just don't see the need for the 321. But I will say that from a dead stop, the 321 actually does rip, and rips in a way that is kind of surprising. Actually, it was surprising for me just because the truck was knocking down, 5.70 to 60 times in the heat and was able to rip a 13-second quarter mile time is just hysterical to me. And in a truck that is at full weight. And when I say full weight, I mean the spare tires in the back of it, the jacks in the truck. It wasn't like I was trying to cheat it on fuel. I was running basically 3/4 of a tank of gas in the thing. So not only did it run the numbers, I wasn't trying to cheat that number down. So again, just impressive. It doesn't take much to impress me, or to at least, have fun with something. And it is a bit more of a challenge when you're working with something that is arguably not meant to be a race car. That's for sure. So hopefully you guys had a chance to check out that quick video. It's always fun for me to do ride-alongs for you guys. And then outside of that, man, really not a whole lot else to talk about. Basically just catching up with you guys, giving you a little bit of some background as far as what I'm up to with Stormy. And then I guess really the only other thing to bring you guys up to speed on is what I've been doing with the Hellcat in order to help to secure it a little bit better. So what I did is I went into the tune and made some adjustments to my valet tune where it will only idle. The car will literally only idle. And if you give it any throttle whatsoever, in fact, if you even bump the throttle, the car will try to die, basically. I mean, it will idle in second gear just enough to get you from one spot to the next in a parking lot or something like that. But that's really it. And I did one other thing. So I took the car in and had the RF hub locked down and picked up another key in the process. And what that does is it basically bricks your RFID. It makes it, or your RF hub, and makes it to where the only keys that it can ID are the ones that it has, and you cannot program another key to the car. So let's say, for example, somebody is trying to lift your car, and you've got it sitting there, and they've got the equipment to make a key to get the thing to fire up and leave. You can't program another key to my car anymore. So the RF hub is bricked now from the factory, which is kind of a cool thing. One thing I was going to try to show you guys, this is going to be in a standalone video, speaking of the Hellcat, is even if you have bricked your RFID hub, you can still clone a fob, if I'm not mistaken. So always have your pouch, right? Well, here's the thing. There's the pouch doesn't always work. You might be going, what? It's true. Just because your key is in the pouch doesn't mean that your car won't start. And it's kind of a specific situation. And it's one of these things where if you get in the car with your key out of the pouch, let's say you walk up to your car, unlock it, get in the car, press the brake and hit the starter button, car fires up. If you put your key fob back in to this thing, and it's perfectly understandable why you would do that. But if you do that while the car is running and then you turn the car off, leave the key fob in the pouch, the car will still think that the key fob is in the car when you get out of the car. You can get back in the car. I've done this. It's kind of spooky, and fire the car up. So it's kind of a weird thing. If you've got one of these cars, play with that a little bit. And you'll find that in some oddball cases, and this is assuming that you get out of the car and don't lock it, or you just sit there, you can start the car with your key fob in the Faraday pouch. And again, there's some weird scenarios that I've been able to make the car start with the key in the pouch. And it's kind of a weird thing. And I've got pouches all over the place. I say that, because I use the other one I got them for the truck and I've got them for the car. But yeah, there are scenarios where you can start the car with your key still in the pouch. So the trick to that is to make sure that when you start the car, run around, do whatever. It doesn't matter what you do with the key then. When you get out of the car, take the key out and lock the car down. Don't just lock it manually. Actually lock the car. And then make sure the key is nowhere to be found. And in that case, near the car, and then usually that'll be fine. Like I could get up right now and the car won't start because the key fob is in the pouch. But again, if I do that kind of goofy scenario, and the only reason why I know this is because I stumbled upon this on accident. So kind of an odd thing, but, but again, I'm going to try to, and I tried to film this and I accidentally ended up stopping the video. I practically deleted the video on accident. So I'm going to have to do that over again, but I'm going to try to replicate that scenario for you guys so you can see what I'm talking about. But the bottom line is everything helps. And I've got a Destroyer 1320 neutral safety switch block off coming as well. And again, nothing will keep your car or truck from getting stolen. There's no such thing as keeping it from here. None of these are absolutes. But what they'll do is they'll slow the process down significantly to the point where it's just too much of a pain in the ass for the thief to carry forward with the attempt and go out there and find an easier mark. So that's why I'm going out there and doing all these things to the car, because I actually really like that car a lot, and I'm planning on keeping it. So in the event of me keeping it, obviously that's why I'm going through the motions and spending the money on this stuff. So, but aside from that, guys, just wanted to bring y'all some updates. Nothing else new or cool or exciting to talk about from Dodge. I posted up a kind of a standalone video in the old format. The hood up, my thoughts videos. So that was kind of fun to put together. But aside from that, like I say, nothing else really kicking. Nothing coming from Dodge really to talk about. Haven't seen anything Ram related either. We've been waiting on the Rams to get that Hurricane inline 6 as an optional engine. I don't know that we're ever going to get there. It feels like it anyway. Are we there yet? But hopefully here pretty soon, we'll have something new to talk about from Dodge. It's just unfortunate that there's just nothing fun to talk about coming down the pipe. We can talk about the Demon 170, but the problem with the Demon 170s, we're still 6 months away from seeing one in the flesh. And I just don't know. There's a lot of ill will already built up with existing Hellcat and Demon owners that were looking to get their hands on one of those cars. And like I say, man, dealerships are pissing people off to the point now where they don't have the same opinion of the brand anymore. And I know that you never really want to try to associate the retailer with the brand. It's like getting pissed off at Walmart because Levi's didn't fit right or something. Or rather getting pissed off at Levi's. It's completely flipped that. Getting pissed off at Levi's because Walmart screwed you over on a pair of pants that you bought. It's not the same, but that's the perception. That's the reality that you're going to live with. And then fortunately, that's really where we're at with all of this. So Ryan's asking, is the TRX available for the stage kits or no? I don't believe they are at this time. Right. So it's a Demon 170 in the wild. Nope. It's a poster. No one can afford it. Well, and that's turning off so many people right now. And, I'll be honest with you guys. Yeah. I was hoping I could get my hands on one. I had kind of made arrangements and, kind of went through the motions of, what I was going to be doing, had talked to some folks. Was going to have to sell Revlon in the process, but if I could have gotten an allocation at that time, I was going to jump on it. Assuming I could have gotten one at or very near MSRP. Well, y'all know about how that's going for a lot of folks, myself included. So, and I'm not hollering sour grapes on that. I still have a lot of love for everything that Dodge did to make that car what it is. But just like I was saying in one of the videos I put together before, best is only best until better shows up to the party, y'all. And even under the same umbrella, you've got some very fast cars that are coming down the pipe. The Banshee is one of them. The Maserati, whatever the name of that thing is, Gran Turismo is going to be another one that is going to give one of these Demon 170s all it can handle and then some, especially when you start considering that they're going to be tested on the street, if you will, or no prep conditions. And that's where those EVs just absolutely dominate. There is no fifth or sixth podium place typically when those guys are out there running. So when they've got it right in terms of being whatever is the fastest that you can come up with. Even hybrids don't really compare. Christopher is saying we have 4 coming into the dealer I work for and 3 already sold for the $100,000 markup. Unbelievable, man. And see, here's the messed up thing. Let's say you bought one see, this is the way I broke this down. Okay. And walk with me on the math, because this will kind of mess with your head a little bit. But if I could have picked one up for MSRP, now I want you to think about this for a minute and walk this through. If I were to pick one up for MSRP and I sold Revlon to get it, let's say I got $50,000 for Revlon and wheels, tires, and whatever else, and I put that money towards that car, I would still be looking at a $55,000 car, right? So let's say that I've got a $55,000 car, and let's call it a $50,000 car. And let's say that I am sitting on $100,000 if I just flip the car right then and there. So I would be netting $150,000, but remember, I'm down a car. So then you would have to say, okay, well, I've had the car for a year and a half. I've made a bunch of contents, been to the dyno, raced it all over the place. And now I'm looking to sell it and get that $100,000 over sticker. And let's say somebody's still willing to buy it at that price. because we don't know what the market's going to yield in that 2 years down the line. And 2 years is a good time frame to have when a car like that. So let's say I sell it for $200,000. I don't pocket $150,000, because remember, if I did something like that, I would want to at least replace the car that I had to get rid of in the process. Well, to do that, I would probably be looking at a red eye, and a red eye you're really not going to get into for less than about $70,000. Well, there's half your money gone right there. Plus you're paying full tax on that car. That's why I say now you're looking at $75,000 as a net gain. Okay. Well, $75,000, you would have to pay tax on the $75,000, presumably. I mean, there's folks that will flag that kind of money going into your account, and capital gains tax on $75,000 is going to be just the other side of what? 10%, I'm sorry, 15%. So you're looking at 7, 8, about 10 grand. So now you're down to $65,000. And that $65,000 gain is going to be split up over the course of 2 years. Now, yes, it's $60,000, but because you're basically amortizing this money over 2 years, you'd have damn near been better off, quite frankly, if you would have just picked up some overtime or worked some extra shifts. And presumably you could have done something else with your time in the process of the carrying costs of that particular vehicle is where I'm going with this. So, yeah, you could still make money. At the end of the day, you would be pocketing a certain amount of money, but you'd have a car that you really would be scared half to death to drive, because if you get into a wreck, I mean, are they going to cover your other $100,000 that you've got out there on the car? You've got insurance carrying costs who are going to step into this, that are going to walk all over a lot of that profit too, by the way. So remember, we're talking about, a $60,000 minus your insurance carrying costs and interest carrying costs on $55,000. Now, next thing you know, this number just keeps going down and down and down and down. And realistically, after you've had the thing for X amount of time, are you really making any money? And does that money actually generate views? And does that increase the value of the channel and all this other stuff? And if the old demon has anything to say about it, the answer is kind of yes and no, depending on what you're up to with the car. But I think that we've already this is a sequel, right? Like, and that's the other issue that I had with this, is that the Demon 170 really is a sequel to the Demon. I think the Demon basically had whet our appetite and sated any kind of hunger that we had for any of these types of vehicles, with the Demon 170 just being more of the Demon. I mean, really, for me, it's more of an engineering exercise. I just want to see more of that technology waterfall into the existing Hellcat platforms. And can we get at least some kind of love for the NA guys too in this? But yeah, it's just a flipping nightmare when you start to break the thing down and think, okay, well, dang, I mean, then I got travel costs that are involved. I mean, we're talking overnight stays to get to drag strips now. Realistically, if you want to put in any kind of real work, you're going to be overnight staying at least. And so there's a lot that comes into play when you're talking about costs and stuff like that. So when I broke the math down, I was actually kind of surprised. And to that point, it's just like I was bringing up the other day on the live show. I really like having a Foxtrot Hotel in my VIN. That's the FH in my VIN, which designates a true 2015 car, built in either 2014 or 2015. I like having the original of this progress and this progression, as opposed to, would I give that up? And to be honest with you guys, if my car was not a 2015, I probably would have already gotten rid of it. So, but it's a 2015. She set national records over and over. Set, lost, set, lost, set. Actually went set, lost, set, lost, set, lost, set. Jim kept kicking my butt. But but again, I mean, there's, that car has got a lot of sentimental value, and to me, it's a more special car in a lot of ways because they only made the first ones once, Ryan saying for the Ram, I want you to imagine Haas from Bonanza. That's what I want for the 5.7. I mean, if you can think, I'd probably go with a Whipple instead of the Torque Storm, but really any of them will give you quite a bit better hit of torque down low. The good thing about a Whipple or any of those other positive displacement supercharger types is that it will basically make a 5.7 act like a 7-liter all the time. So it's something to consider, like a street 7-liter, just a lot of tip-in torque, all of that. You can get with a positive displacement supercharger, be much more Haas-ish, if you know what I mean. I know what you're driving at. Christopher saying there's a guy in my neighborhood that bought one of the King Daytonas and now has it on Facebook Marketplace for $2.25. Oh, hell no. A King Daytona. Does anybody even know what a King Daytona is? Like what is that? I don't know what it's referring to. And look, I'm sure it's something that means something to somebody, but it ain't Sox and Martin, right? It's not the Ram Chargers. It's not the ones that really garner that grassroots, cigar smoking, beer drinking dude that's going to be in there working on his car, busted knuckles and all this other stuff. You don't get that flavor from what they're doing. It's real. It's like eating soup with no salt, right? It's just bland. I can't put my finger on it, but it feels like I got a thumb on me when I think about that stuff. Bryce is saying he's planning on keeping his 2017 Scat Pack. Absolutely awesome car. Max saying it's sketchy dropping a V8 option as one of the big three American truck makers. Here's the thing. I don't think the Ram brand is going to lose the V8. There are way too many truck buyers that will not accept that as an option. I mean, look at Ford. I don't think that they'll ever make a truck without that Coyote V8. I would be shocked if Dodge ever made trucks without V8s. You've got the 6.4 that's in the 3/4 ton trucks and the 5.7 and the half tons. The truck guys need a V8, and you need a V8 because the V8 is going to be less stressed. Damn, that was healthy sounding. Presumably than the 6-cylinder turbo variants. I know what's said about them. I know that they can handle the power and cylinder pressures and all that. I'm more concerned about fuel quality than anything else. Ryan saying, why not the Petty Daytona? That's another one. Oh, Christopher saying it's named after a street racer out west who raced a 69 Daytona, just like the Black Ghost story. I mean, that's so regional. I guess those were a couple of Mopars, I guess, that somehow or another they got lore following them around. There are so many other much more interesting stories than those that are out there. I just can't. Oh, it's frustrating. Bryce asked what my opinion on Texas speed cams is. I have used Texas Speed to grind my personal custom grind cams when I put cams together for guys. Used Texas Speed on Demonology's cam. They did a great job grinding that one. So, they've got some good looking grinds. Their load profiles are good. Their load profiles are not quite as aggressive as comp cam's load, but dude, you want to start talking about splitting hairs. But it's just, no lobe is symmetrical, by the way. They're all asymmetrical lobes now. And typically the comp lobe is going to be a bit more aggressive, but that can be a little bit harder on valve train components too. So, but the The Texas speed cams are fine. They're great. Ryan saying Hemi Under Glass was a legend. Yep, absolutely it was. Little Red Express. Remember that one? The Dodge truck wheel stander? That snub nose looking thing. I always like the look of those things. I used to have an Isuzu cab over that there's part of me that wishes I never sold that truck. Anyway, it was a 4-cylinder turbo non-emissions truck built in '84. And I used to love driving that thing. That thing at 65 miles an hour felt like you were going 165 miles an hour. In fact, it was torquey. I mean, the thing actually would kind of get out of its own way. And there was a clover leaf near where I was living at the time. And when it would rain, you could actually step that thing out and drift it around that clover leaf. That thing, it was predictable. I mean, it was really nice. So, Ryan saying the real Warlock. So that's one I kind of wish that Dodge would have done, or Ram. I keep saying Dodge, that Ram brand. I kind of would like to have seen them do something with that instead of just as a sticker package for the new trucks. Really would have liked to have seen them bring back the Warlock. That would have been really cool. Even if it wasn't something super crazy fast. By the way, the Warlock is the other truck that Dodge made. A lot of people remember the Little Red Express, and they don't remember the Warlock. The Warlock was actually a really cool looking truck, black and gold. Just a sharp looking truck. Also, I think it also had the 360 in it. Anyway, another one of the hot rod trucks. And so if Dodge would have just call me. Listen, if you ever have an idea, Dodge, just call me and I'll walk you through, let you know if it's a good idea or not. But at that point in time, the DS, if you could have had a regular cab short bed DS, black gold trim with a 392 in it, just stock 392, car 392, didn't have to be anything major, with a 392 rear gear set, that would be perfect. And yes, Ryan, Moe's Performance. Sorry. Give Matt a shout over at Moe's Performance and he'll get you squared away on that. Tell him I sent you too, by the way. But that combination for that truck is, would have been my, like, if I was even talking to Matt about that, I was like, man, if I were to put together another project, if one were to put together a project, what would it be? And I got to thinking about this. I said, here's what I would want to build: either regular cab short bed, obviously DS, because they didn't ever make a DT, but regular cab short bed with an extremely mild 302. I'm sorry, 302, extremely mild 392 with the truck intake. I'd probably go in and clean that intake up just a little bit, just to get any rough edges out of it. Set of long tube headers, S-type exhaust, and 355 gears for that truck. And I would venture a guess and say that it would be a solid low 12-second or a mid 12-second truck, but it would just be so much fun. It would have perfect street manners. Play with it all you want. I'd probably, honestly, guys, I don't even know if I'd probably put one of my baby cams. I'd probably put a sniper cam in it just because it'd make power everywhere. And that would be it. I maybe just a very slight drop, nothing major, and just have a truck that you could do anything all the time. Just have something that would be a lot of fun and just would do burnout for days. That would be a lot of fun for me. At least, that would be what would get me excited again. And just because that, I'm kind of a truck guy at heart anyway. Ryan saying, yes, ask Professor. Who are you going to call? That Professor. Yeah, like I say, there's some of these trucks out there that I would really love to get my hands on, but time and, money and all those kind of constraints jump in and can sometimes screw that up. But again, I am looking to keep Revlon in the stable. And we'll just see how everything else works out moving forward. Like I say, Stormy is a ripper with this new 93 octane tune that I played with. Finally got it right. And the weird thing about it is, again, when you start getting into tuning, sometimes things don't really, like, your output doesn't match your input because there's always some kind of like a subsystem in play in the background. And so that's kind of what I was fighting. And I couldn't really understand. I was like, why is it that I'm commanding this timing value at this throttle input and I'm not getting there? And anyway, come to find out, it's really looking more at what you would consider to be a like manifold vacuum as opposed to air charge. It's like, that's what it was. Anyway, there's some stuff like, well, I don't have access to that particular table to make these adjustments. So anyway, you have to go in and this is why you have to do so much data logging. Is it's just log. And it's all under the most benign circumstances. And wide open throttle's cake. It's all these little tip in throttle, hold the throttle, watch your data log. How much knock retard do you really have? What do the knock sensors look like? So I'm driving down the road. I got the thing sitting on the console. I got the knock sensors lit up. I've got all this other, it's just, it's fun. It's funny too, but it's all the little nitpick stuff. This is how you set and are able to set and recapture these goofy little, what we would consider micro records, but they're important records in, for the brand. And so anyway, right now I'm playing with a 93 octane tune that like me and like 4 other people on the planet would really ever care about. Kurt was saying his is black with the blackout package. So your build sounds like a plan. Nice. That would be, like I say, I kid you not. Like if I just showed up with Brazilian amounts of dollars one day, that's all I would do. I mean, I would put something so mild, so benign together, but it would just be really good. Matter of fact, I would probably, this is no joke, I'd probably build a 426, but it would be a mild 426. It would be a 426 with like a 224, 232 grind cam in it, 114 or 115 degree LSA. A combination that would basically tune itself and run the factory 6.4 liter intake manifold on it. And that thing, I mean, I would basically build what you would expect, almost like it'd be a truck motor, but it would tow, it would do everything. I'd make it to where it'd work with a stock converter. So I might even open it up to like a 115 LSA and tighten it up to like maybe a 220, 224, 232 cam or something goofy like that. Ryan saying, or the 5.7 with a Hellcat supercharger stock in a truck for the Warlock baby cat motor. Yep, that would work too. MMX makes the conversion kit for that, by the way. Ryan saying, I want to make an old Warlock with a Poly 318 stroker, board to 402 and cam the crap out of it. Man, the 318 Poly was a neat engine, but you can make a lot more power with the wedges. But it would be cool to pop the hood to see a Poly 318 under the hood, especially if you're camming the hell out of it. Bryce saying, I was leaning at getting a stage 2 cam for my 6.4. I'm not interested in going down the track, just different sound and wake it up a little bit more. So the HRT cam from Comp is eerily familiar to me, although it does have a wider lobe separation than my cam does. So it makes it easier for the guys to tune it. And again, all that cam will do for a 6.4 is it will make that 6.4 run like what you would expect a street going 426 to run like. Just saying, picks up about 30 horsepower, 30 foot-pounds of torque, but it does it everywhere all the time. And that's why that cam does such a good job. So, like I say, if I were putting something together, that's what I would put in it. It would be the very first cam that I ever developed for Pite's performance would be the cam that I would put in there, which is somewhat similar to that HRT Stage 2. It's just a really good, mild, sensible. I mean, if you want to call anything like this sensible, but it's a sensible cam to try to run in that car. I'll put it to you like this: in a heavy Charger with long tube headers, it will make a Scat Pack Charger. In this case, I'm thinking about an SRT Charger in particular. It'll make that car competitive with a 5.0 on the highway. So what's the fastest NA car from a roll? Coyote. Yeah. Right. So that's not called a Corvette, right? I mean, let's be realistic, but the fastest car from a roll is a Mustang with the Coyote engine, because that thing, it makes its own camshafts as you're hammering down the road. That camshaft made that Charger basically be door handle to door handle with a Coyote on the highway. So that's why I would go with something like that. But and mainly because anything more would be, I don't know, I don't think it would work out really well. It'd be a little bit too sluggish with the weight of the truck. With the stock torque converter. Go with the converter, and that's a little bit different story. By the way, if you've never seen one of these Rams launch, with some of the options that most performance has for some of these trucks, they are slamming power onto the track. So they absolutely will 60 foot with a Hellcat all day, every day. With in fact, they'll do it better than the LX platform does. Solid rear axle, lots of converter. Yeah, it's surprising, to say the least. I mean, you'll see a low 12, mid 11 second truck pull the front tire off the ground. That's how hard they hit. So it's all fun, all good stuff. That's Hemi power, baby. But well, guys, with that, it's a weekday show. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up, make it kind of quick. But guys, I want to thank each and every one of y'all for hanging out. If it's your first time hanging out around the show, please consider subscribing. Ring that bell, helps the channel a ton. But we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. Guys, get out there and do something cool for somebody. Chances are they need it way more than you know. And with that, now it's a wrap. Y'all have a great one. Adios.